I wanted to pop on here for a minute to talk about my fountain pens and some updates, do a little currently inked. It's been a while since I recorded my last video, and just to be like fully transparent about that, a big part of that has been because in August of last year, 2024, we moved out of the hotel and back into our home after it was repaired from Hurricane Helene. And I've been wanting to film for a minute, but just every time I thought about like filming, it just reminded me of that time, that period of time of my life. Just so much uncertainty and instability and waiting for our house to get fixed and dealing with insurance and contractors and all of that it just didn't give me very good feelings to think about filming. It just, reminded me of that time. So it's taken me a minute to just let my brain recover, rest, do what it needs to do in the back end to feel like I'm comfortable filming again. But I've given it a couple attempts. I wanted to share a 2026 Techo Kaigi and really kind of like compare my 2025 system to my 2026 system. But all of the attempts that I've tried in filming, there's so much that I want to say. There's so much that I want to catch up on and share that I've gotten just so overwhelmed that I just feel like I just feel just so overwhelmed that I do not feel mentally well. So I've had to just give it a try, notice what's happening in my body, give it a rest. So we're back. And hopefully today will be a fun video. So yeah, sharing my fountain pen, currently inked, and a couple updates to my collection. So this isn't my full collection. These are just the pens that I have inked, but I wanted to walk you through some new additions that I've gotten since the last time that I filmed. So just to show you the pens that I have right now. So this is the first pen that I ever bought as, I would say, in the second leg of my fountain pen journey. So I had like a first leg of my fountain pen journey in college in 2013, but I had a lot of like frustrating experiences with that, that like some Edison pens that I got the nib worked on, and I just like could not get those pens to write. They skipped terribly. And just like it's like a Lamy Safari that I loved, but then I got another Lamy Safari and it was like a limited edition color, and the quality of that plastic felt so like such a downgrade, and I was really disappointed in that and the nib, and just feeling like, oh, this is just so expensive and not worth it, and I'm not having fun. So I took a break maybe from 2014, maybe 2015 to 2019, and then I got this pen in 2019, and this pen has always been so amazing to me. It's a medium nib Decimo, Pilot Vanishing Point Decimo with the click, and I've always, like, as soon as I got this pen, I wish that I got it in a fine nib because it just writes so broadly, and I do love that, but it's very juicy, and I was using this for notes, and I just felt like it was like a little on the thicker side. Other pens that I bought at that time, I got a Pilot Metropolitan. I think I got two of them. One fell on the floor and the nib got messed up, and I didn't know that you could just swap the nib out, so I retired that pen, and this was really just the one that has been my tried and true OG, and I still love this pen. But yeah, I bought this pen thinking of the very, like, as soon as I bought it, like, man, I wish I had gotten a fine nib, and I felt that way for years. These were two pen purchases that I got in the beginning of 2025. A medium and a fine nib Pilot Custom 823 in the demonstrator versions. I actually got a fine, I think it was the fine one. The section of this pen, like, I was writing with it. I was just like minding my own business, writing with it. And the section started unscrewing as I wrote with it. And like ink was leaking out and like got all over my fingers. But thankfully it was, not too long after I had purchased it. So I was able to do a return, and they swapped it for a new one. And I think just in manufacturing, what happened was they're supposed to glue the section. And I think they just maybe forgot to do that. So that got taken care of. But these are just like amazing pens, amazing writers. Like the weight of them in my hand is incredible. But I would say that the amount of ink, right, this is like the benefit of what's called a piston filler, is it holds so much ink compared to converter pens. Like this whole barrel essentially can be filled with ink, so it's like a ton of ink volume. And to be honest, I really enjoy changing inks in pens. Like that's really fun for me. And so like the amount of ink that this holds is just a little too much for me. I don't think I would want to get the Pilot Custom 743, the version of this basic same pen, same nib, just not a piston filler, and instead it's just a regular cartridge converter system. Like I don't think I wish that I had gotten those, just because I do think the experience of the demonstrator and the I'm sorry, it's not a piston, it's a vacuum. It's a vacuum fill, not a piston fill. Sorry. I'm thinking about the Lamy 2000 in my brain right now. A vacuum filler. I do think that this is just aesthetically so beautiful. The weight of it, because of this metal steel rod, is just so delightful. So I don't like wish that I bought something different. It's just a quirk, I suppose, in my brain for these pens. So the next purchase order that I got a couple months later was this lovely little Koeko. This is the aluminum in iguana blue, and I always keep this inked with Sailor Manyo Yomogi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, sorry. I just think that it's a lovely match for this pen, and I have this in a medium nib. And it's just my little pocket pen. Like this is the one that I bring around with me if I'm leaving the house and I'm bringing a journal. Like this is usually what I'll bring. I've considered buying a fine nib unit to swap in here, but I do feel like Yomogi, like the shading and the sheening, is expressed really beautifully in this medium nib, so I kind of don't want to go down to a fine because I know that would be less, but for a pocket pen, I'd kind of prefer finer nib, so I'm a little bit torn. But yeah, I love this pen. I love this pen so much. It's just such a happy color for me. And then later in the year in 2025, I don't remember exactly which month, maybe July. I think it was July. I got so lucky. Finding this pen. I saw that this is the Platinum Century 3776. This one has a medium nib, and this is the Peppermint Tea non-bowl collaboration pen. The company that collaborated is non-bowl, but the pen's called Peppermint Tea. Like that's the colorway, and like these are so my colors. Like this, like greenish bluish, and then this blue cap and the gold. Like these are so my colors, and I saw this collaboration was coming to Yoseka stationery, but they were kind of like not in stock yet. Like they were waiting to get it in. And I signed up for the notifications, and I was like, there's just no way. Like this pen's gonna go so quickly. I'm gonna miss the window. I'm not gonna get it. There's like no chance. And then I was on Reddit, and I happened to just stumble across a pen swap post of somebody selling this pen in like new condition. I think they like dip tested it. And so I jumped on this pen, and oh my gosh, it is so beautiful. I will say though, the writing experience initially was terrible. Like I was so just confused and like sad and upset. Like it wasn't scratchy. I won't say that it was scratchy, but it wrote absurdly dry. Like the driest pen I have ever written with in my life. Like it was skipping all over the place. I was like, oh my gosh, does this pen have baby's bottom? Is there something wrong with the nib? Using my loop, trying to figure it out. And I think the conclusion that I eventually came down to was that number one, there was like gunk in between the tines. So I had to floss the tines. I ended up using, because I've heard you're not supposed to use a brass shim to floss gold nibs because it can damage the plating. So I ended up using like a plastic clear sticker sheet that I had used up. And I found that like that was both thin and flexible enough to like get in between the tines and shove out whatever gunk was in there, because it was not coming out no matter how much I flushed it with soap water, it was not coming out. So I was able to do that. And then as I was continuing my investigations after doing that, I noticed when I had no ink in the pen and I held it up to light and I looked through the, with a loop, the microscopic space in between the tines, that the tines were too close together. They were too tight. So like there was no gap in between the very end of the tines as there should be. It was just like this. And so I wondered if part of the reason why this nib was writing so dry was just because the tines were too tight. And so I tried a couple times. I know I've seen this on YouTube where you like press into paper and you sort of flex the nib to get it to write more wet, but that was not working for me. And I didn't want to push it too far. It was just, you're not really supposed to flex gold nibs like this. This is not a flex nib, and it wasn't really working anyway. So what I ended up doing, this was back when I had thumbnails. I don't right now, but I basically grabbed the shoulders and I, like held it against my body and I pulled the shoulders of the tines apart. And I did that basically, gosh, like this thing was so tight. Like I've been working on this pen for like 9 months. I was still pulling on the tines even like a week ago. And I feel like I've just got it to a place where I think it's writing the way that I want to. It's not a gusher. It's not a super wet pen, but I feel like it's writing normally and as it should be. And it hasn't been skipping on me in a long time. It's just like, it still felt really dry. So thankfully I fixed it. I was really proud of myself. It was the first time I've ever worked on a gold nib, and I feel like it was a success, and I didn't have to send it off to a nibmeister. I've never done that before. I really don't want to have to send a pen off to a nibmeister unless I absolutely have to, because I just feel like I'd be so sad not having the pen with me, like they're sentimental. So this was a pen I bought shortly after this one, because I saw this Nagasawa Cider Kobe, I think that's the collaboration, also Platinum Century 37076. I got this in a fine nib, because I usually like to have multiple different nib widths in the same pen or like same company of pens, just because I like fine nibs, I like broad nibs, I like medium nibs, I like a mixture. And I just, even though this pen wasn't writing perfectly, oh my gosh, like these pens are so beautiful. So I picked this one up from Van Ness and they had it in stock and I got it, and I was really, this one wrote perfectly right off the bat, no issues whatsoever. Beautiful pen, a little bit more feedback than the medium, but I didn't have any issues with wetness or flow. So that was really nice. And then October 2025, yep, I saw this Bennu Moonstone Talisman come out, and I have not been interested in any Bennu pens pretty much ever, like the Euphorias, no, Talismans, no, the Pixies, no, like there has been nothing about Bennu. Don't get me wrong, like I love the flashiness. I love all of that, but the colors available have not been they have not called my name. They have not done it for me until I saw this pen. And as soon as I saw this pen, I was just like, oh my, this is so gorgeous. I love blue. This feels so me. So I got this pen. So this is a Schmidt medium nib. It's currently inked with Sailor Manyo, haha. And yeah, oh my gosh, I love this pen so much. The Schmidt nibs, just the feedback is wonderful, and they're just, yeah, this pen worked beautifully right out of the box, and I'm so happy with it. And I feel like if I did get another Bennu pen, it would be another Talisman, but honestly, I would rather save the money and just buy the nib units. Like maybe I'd get like a fine and a broad nib unit, because you can just unscrew, you can't do this with every pen, but with these you can just unscrew the nib and swap in a new nib and feed that you can buy separately. And I would just rather do that and save the money, because I love this pen. Like I don't feel like there's any way to beat this aesthetic and how just beautiful. Oh my gosh, just gorgeous. So yes, That was in October. And then I had not bought any pens until a whole 2 months later when I got this Vanishing Point. This is my first ever Vanishing Point. So you can see the Decimo is smaller in girth than the Vanishing Point. And this is the gunmetal rhodium finish. And I got this in a fine nib, the fine nib that I've always wanted. And I got this for a very specific reason. Number one, because like I said, as soon as I got this in 2019, I was like, dang, I wish I got a fine nib, the medium. This is the medium, and I wish I got a fine nib. And I thought about just getting the nib unit because you can buy these for maybe $90. Like I could have just bought basically this piece and using the Decimo body that I already had. But I've noticed through my pen journey that I kind of like bigger, weightier pens, like the 823, for example. And so I really wanted to try the Vanishing Point body, a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier. And I love this pen. This is my planner pen. I bought it with that functionality in mind of like, it's always gonna have a black ink. Right now it's Sailor Gentle Black. And this is what I use for my planner, to-do list kind of stuff. And for that purpose, it's fantastic, right? You got like the click, it's super easy. You don't have to worry about any like capping, twisting situation. But I will say that this nib is a lot more flexible than I thought it would be. Like certainly the medium is very soft and bouncy, but I don't notice as much line variation with my medium flexiness as I do with this fine nib. Like the fine is significantly thinner in width, in writing width, than the medium. And I guess my personal experience has been when I'm writing with like fine nibs, and if they're a little bit bouncy, I do get more line variation. And personally, I don't love that in fine nibs. I just find it makes my handwriting look very inconsistent. Like I don't think I would ever get the Platinum 3776 soft fine nib. I don't think I would ever do that just because after my experiences with this pen, I still love it. I think it's the functionality that I wanted and needed, but like when I compare it to this fine nib, I would say these are pretty similar in line width. This is like a very stiff gold nib. It doesn't flex very much, and I just think my handwriting looks a little bit more consistent, whereas this one's sort of, it can be all over the place depending on like the angle in which I'm writing. Like it's a little variable, and I don't love that. But I look at it for the functionality, and for that purpose, it's everything that I want, and I will continue using it for probably forever for planner reasons. And then my most recent purchase this month, February 2026, was the Yoseka Platinum 3776 Century Greenpoint pen, the collaboration that Yoseka Stationery had with Platinum. And I was so torn about this pen. So basically, all right, to kind of bring it back a little bit, as soon as I got the medium nib, like I think I ordered this one, and then a day later I ordered this one. Whatever. And so this one came in, and then this one came in maybe a week later. And as soon as I wrote with this, you know, I was having the experience of it being really dry, and I just thought, oh my gosh, I think I need a broad nib because this medium is so thin compared to certainly a Western medium, another Western medium, but even this Pilot Custom 823 medium, like this one is so much thinner. This medium is one of my thickest Pilot mediums. It's so thin. It's like basically a fine nib. And that's fine. Like I don't have an issue with this line width. I like fine nibs, but it just wasn't what I was expecting. So as soon as I wrote with this, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I think if I were to ever get a broad nib, it's probably going to be a Platinum nib, especially if they're writing on the dry side. So I had that in mind of I would like a Platinum broad nib. At some point, I'm just waiting for the right colorway to exist because the colorways that were available, I did not like. I somehow missed the Wagner 2025 pen club pen that came out, their collab with Platinum, because that pen is like my dream pen. in terms of like color and style and aesthetics, but I figured that pen was probably super expensive, and also I just missed the ordering window. I did not somehow, you know how it is, like new pens come out and you're like, wait, what? Like that's nice. Wait, and then it's too late to buy it. So this one came out, I saw the Yoseka video, and I looked at, I have all, no, I don't have all. I have 2 of the Yoseka Sailor Pro Gear collaborations. I have the Refresh and I have the Home. So I love supporting Yoseka. I love their colorway designs. But I saw this one and it was, just like a clear demonstrator. It doesn't have like the frosted body. There's no sparkles. And I just thought like, no, that's not really for me. I don't think this is the pen for me. I'll just wait for another collab to come around. But I could not get this pen out of my brain. I couldn't get it off my mind. I was like haunting Reddit for like refreshing Reddit basically to see if somebody else had like gotten this pen in the mail and like showed pictures. Like maybe I needed more pictures. I don't know. But the more I saw, the more compelled I was about this pen. I don't have any other than, I suppose, this one, but that's a little different. Like the vibes are different. I know they're both demonstrators, but like the vibes are different for sure. So I don't have any actual demonstrators. And yeah, I just couldn't get this pen out of my brain. And so I decided to get it in the broad nib. And yeah, I also had issues with this one writing. So I felt like it was plenty wet enough, but when I would write with it, it would like mildly hard start. So I'd like, write a downstroke and it would take, 2 or 3 for it to start writing normally. And then it would just like randomly skip, especially after a pause, but also very inconsistently. Like it would take maybe 10 seconds and it just felt like the ink at the tip was drying out. And so I ended up flushing it out. I'd already done the soap and water. I always do that for my pens, but I ended up flushing the ink out and I looked at it under light with a loupe, and I could see that it almost looked like there was metal filings in between the tines, which I think was the same thing that happened with this pen. Like literally metal filings. And I tried more soap and water, it wasn't coming out. So I tried like bulb syringe flushes, nothing was getting this to come out. So I did my thin sticker paper backing, the clear sheet, and flossed in between the tines until I got it out. I think there were like 2 actually pieces of just like metal filings, which is probably from them, grinding, tuning, smoothing, polishing the nib, but still also like woof. And then after that, I felt like the wetness hadn't changed at all. I felt like it was still a very wet writer. But yeah, I think it's just maybe taking some time to get worked in. Like I just feel like the more that I write with, like it was still skipping, but the more that I write with it, the less it skips. And I feel like now if I go to uncap it to write or journal with it, like I'm not having the mildly hard starts anymore. It just writes, but maybe occasionally it'll just look a little, not a full skip, but like a partial skip. But that could just maybe be like the angle that I'm holding the nib. I sometimes tend to rotate it as I'm writing. So who knows? It's still new. I'm gonna give it some time. I do think that this one did not experience the tines being too close together. I could see that there was a gap when it was uninked, so I think we're good there. But yeah, that is my currently inked current pen sort of setup that I have going on. So let's do some writing samples. If you follow me, not from pen world, but maybe from ADHD and ADHD world, I'm an ADHD and ADHD coach, and you might be wondering, like, why do you need so many pens? Like, why, if you can only write with like one pen at a time, why so many pens? And I will tell you my personal reasons for that. Pens, fountain pens specifically for me. I do love regular pens also, but fountain pens are just next level delightful. And for me, fountain pens they make me feel like I'm a kid playing again. Like they make me feel like I'm like a younger version of me, playing with like paint or watercolor, or like I'm in an art class, or I'm playing with like Play-Doh. Like that's the same way that fountain pens feel to me, and they're very much a sensory experience. So you have like every single one of these nibs, like, you know, I just grabbed whatever was here, but like every one of these pens writes in a different way, a different sensation of the nib touching the paper, and that sensory experience can be layered even more complexly if you consider the ink that you're putting into it. You can have wet inks, you can have dry inks, you can have more lubricated inks. Like that then changes the sensory experience yet again. And for that reason, fountain pens to me are just so grounding and calming and anchoring and regulating for me. I've been a journaler since I was 6 years old, so I've always journaled. And I love writing. I love writing on paper. I've always had notebooks and journals in some way, shape, or form. I've always kept a journal in some way, shape, or form. You know, whether I used it, you know, a couple times a year, like I always made sure I had one available to me. And so this is just expanded on something that I've already loved so much and made it even more joyful and magical. So that's what kind of like fountain pens mean to me. So are we in frame? I can't even tell. Okay, there we go. What month is it? It's technically February, but tomorrow's March. So we'll kind of say March 2026. Currently inked. Yay. Alrighty, so this, do I want to do the pen first or the ink first? I think the pen. So Pilot, Decimo, medium nib, and this has Sailor, Manyo, Sailor Manyo Koke. I love Sailor inks so much. They're so beautiful. And I'll just do, boop, just do that just for funsies. So there is that one. Should I zoom in? Okay, we'll try a zoomed in version. Okay, so then we have the Pilot Custom 823 medium, and this has Sailor, Shikiori, Fuji, Sugata, boop. I'm pretty sure this is gonna be, well, it already was a little bit stained purple from Yamabudo. I had Yamabudo in this pen for a really long time, and it's looking a little pinkish to me, but I don't know. I think it's worth it. If it gets stained, it gets stained, and I will put other inks in it, and probably eventually over time, or maybe not at all, it'll be fine. I didn't like the amber version. I didn't like the smoke version, so this is it. This is the one. Okay, my next Pilot Custom 823 in the fine nib. What is that? I don't know. Sailor Manyo Nagi. You can see how much thinner this one is. This This is also, in my opinion, a dry ink, but it's a beautiful, beautiful green. So there's that one. And we have my Kaweco House Sport Iguana Blue, medium nib. This one, I had to do some work on the nib. I felt like the tines weren't aligned, which is very common for these Kaweco nibs, but I got my loop, I did a little adjusting, and now I feel like it's writing okay. It's not a superb writer, but it doesn't give me issues, so we'll take that. And this has Sailor, Manyo, Yomogi, oh my gosh, I love, this ink is just, oh, I just love it. It is so me. I love my blues. Interestingly, I have not found a like dark blue ink color that I gravitate towards. I have samples of Pilot Iroshizoku, Asagao, I don't know how to pronounce it, Tsukiyo, which I hated Tsukiyo when I first tried it. I was like, oh my god, it's so green, ew. And now I'm like, oh no, I just hadn't tried very many inks before, so it seemed green to me, but now that I've like exposed myself to more inks, I'm like, that's not green. And I also have Shinkai, which are lovely, but I think I would want to do like some ink samples from maybe the Sailor line and see if there's a dark blue that I would like from them. So this is Platinum. And this is Peppermint Tea. And Pilot Tsukiyo. Oops, there we go. So yeah, you can see like, well, this is a very wet ink, but this Western medium from the Kaweco and the Platinum Century medium, like the Platinum Century medium is a little bit thinner, even with this like very wet lubricated ink. Okay, so here we have Platinum Century 3776 medium. I think it's Nagasawa cider, but it might be Nagasawa Kobe cider. I just don't remember. And this has Sailor Black. And oh man, Sailor Black. All my Sailor pens had Sailor Black cartridges, and I used the cartridges and I was like, oh my god, Sailor Black. This is the best black ever. I love this black. I'm obsessed with this black. And then I bought a bottle because I thought it was so great, and I was so disappointed in Sailor Black. I was like, wait, this is not, like, it just felt more dilute and more gray, and I was really disappointed. It didn't feel as black as night as I thought it would be. And since then, I've been really wanting to pick up Platinum Chokuro. Yeah. I've been really wanting to pick up Platinum. It's like the blackest black. It's like super black. It's a pigment ink. So it's a little risky with your pens. You gotta be really great about pen maintenance. You have to use distilled water, not tap water, or else it will solidify and just have particulates in it that don't want to come out of your pen. It's like very high maintenance, but it is the blackest black ever. And I want to try it so badly, but I know if I get it, I'm never going to use Sailor Black again. And I just bought a bottle. So I'm setting a rule for myself that I need to get at least almost all the way to the bottom of Sailor Gentle Black, or Sailor Black, the regular black. That bottle that I just bought before I pick up Chokuro. I wish I knew how to say that. Okay, this is the Bennu Moonstone, Talisman, in a medium nib. And this has Sailor Manyo Haha, which is a chroma shading ink, although it's been in this pen for so long that it's not chroma shading anymore. There's such an interesting thing about this ink, also Sailor Koke, but to a lesser extent. But certainly with this Manyo Haha, the color will change over time as it's exposed to light. And that can happen in the pen, it can happen in the bottle. If you leave the bottle out on your windowsill, or maybe not even on your windowsill, maybe just in light. It is a very light sensitive ink. And originally, if I were to write with this, it would look almost way more green. Way more green, and also with a lot more chroma shading of like pink and purple. And now it does have a little bit of chroma shading, but just the color changes over time as I write with it. And I'm not mad about that. Like, that's fine. But I think for me, what's important is like, I never want to leave my bottles out in the sunlight because I just want the original experience, I guess. But that is what I have learned about that ink. And I put Sailor Gentle Black in this pen because I wanted to, well, number one, I just wanted to try it. I was just curious. And then I wanted to kind of compare it to this, the same ink in this pen, because this one's very flexible and the platinum is a stiffer nib. Pilot finishing. Fine. Oh my god, why am I doing an extra one? Sailor Black. Boop. So yeah, I mean, you can imagine for like a planner pen how much faster this is than, the whole screw unscrew situation. So I love this pen for that reason. And then last but not least, I hope I have enough ink in here. I think I do. But this is my newest. This is the Platinum the broad nib. And it has Iroshizuku, Konpeki, oh yeah, I love this ink. It's one of my favorite inks. Okay, that is my currently inked. And maybe just for fun, I really wanted to film this where they all had the same ink, but how do I say this? I don't even know how to say it. I missed my window. I missed my brain window. And I think I was having issues with this pen skipping, and so I went into troubleshooting mode, and once I did that, it was game over. So hopefully down the road, I'll be able to ink all three of my platinum pens with the same ink, and then I'll be able to do a comparison, because ink properties will change the line width, and it's not ideal to do a comparison with different inks in the pens. But let's do a little comparison. Broad. And then we'll do the medium. So at least these two are both Iroshizuku inks. Yeah, you can see it's less wet in comparison. Well, it's just like putting out less ink, probably more accurate. And I will say, I love these platinum pens so much for so many reasons. The feedback is more than Sailor pens. Sorry, not more. Less feedback than Sailor pens. Like Sailor pens are, the feedback experience, the sensation of writing on paper with the nib. I find these platinums to be smoother than the Sailors, but not as smooth as Pilot. And I think this is like the perfect happy middle ground. Like I do love smooth writing nibs, but and I thought that's all I would ever want forever. Earlier, I was like, oh, feedback. No, I want buttery smooth. I want glassy smooth. But I feel like as I've gone on this journey, the more I've come to appreciate feedback, I think the platinum feedback is so well done. And it's a mixture of like smoothness and texture. And I think maybe the closest I have is my Bennu Schmidt nib in terms of that experience, but I like this better. That's the way I would say it. I like this better. I do love my Bennu, but if I'm just talking about feedback, in comparison, this pen has almost no feedback. This broad nib is glassy, it's so smooth. And I guess that's not surprising. It's such a broad nib. So yeah. But yeah, those are my pens. That's what I got going on. That's been the updates and the journey. And thank you for being here. Thank you for exploring and adventuring with me. And I hope to talk more soon. I'm hoping to share about my 2026 journal planner notebook things that I got going on. And I'm going to need to do some pivoting because I have a spring start Hobonichi that's ending in a month. And I need to find out if I'm going to get another one or if I'm going to do something different. So hopefully we'll have some chatty fun time about that. And maybe I'll be able to also talk about the changes I've made since 2025. But yeah, thanks again for being here. Hope you have a really wonderful rest of your week and take care. I'll talk soon. Bye.